Hey everyone, what is up? Today we got a really cool topic to get into. Now, the possibility of a next-gen Nintendo system has been floating around in the Nintendo community for quite some time. I know people already have been talking about the Nintendo Switch variants such as a Switch Pro, and prior to the Switch Lite's release, people were talking about a Switch Mini. So the topic has been thoroughly discussed by a lot of people. Now last week, the 80th annual general meeting for shareholders of Nintendo occurred, where the conversation about a next-gen system was brought up. The question was asked that if Nintendo would be breaking the boundaries of video games normally only being played on a TV or secondary screen while doing something. Which is kind of odd. I'm not sure what else you would play video games on. Maybe they're referring to the possibility of holographic controls, or maybe VR, I don't know. It's a valid question in the sense that, yes, video games have been formatted to be played on displays such as TVs or screens, but it's a don't fix it if it's not broken situation. There's nothing wrong with this format. It's possible they just watched Sword Art Online or something and they really want to nudge them into the direction of virtual reality in your mind. All jokes aside though, the president of Nintendo, Shintaro Furukawa, responded by stating that the Switch's success is built on its two possible configurations with the Nintendo Switch and the Switch Lite variants, and that Nintendo is focused only on one platform, the Switch. For instance, how Sony and Microsoft are not solely dedicated to making video games. The president said that they want to extend the life cycle of the Switch to maximize these advantages, and that the Switch's momentum is still increasing. This makes a lot of sense. The Switch is just starting to really push forward and pass their competition with its popularity in production. It would be premature to try and release a new console when the success of the Switch is at its peak and release new games that are unplayable on the already popular system that people are familiar with. Senior Executive Officer Ko Shioda talked about how the Switch's success comes from the portability of the console and the ability to connect to the TV, which increases the gameplay opportunities in various scenes to better fit the consumer's life. So going forward, Nintendo would like to keep this idea in mind when creating a next-gen system. Therefore, it's very likely that the next-gen Nintendo system will be similar to the Switch. It would have to add some sort of new features, however, because if it was just a beefed-up Nintendo Switch, it doesn't give the consumer a huge reason to buy the system. A Switch Pro, per se, would be in the same Switch generation, so that the availability for a more powerful Switch is there for the specific audience of customers, but the other two options are still available and in production, so it's not just a replacement for the Switch, but another variant. I think it's likely a Switch Pro will come soon. It could be towards the end of 2020 or maybe 2021. This way, it keeps the relevance of Nintendo Switch up in the late years of its life cycle. It would offer some changes to the system like a beefed up hardware or maybe a 1080p screen and handheld. I feel though it would have to still be compatible with the Joy-Cons in the way of physically connecting to the Switch, or it would have to scrap the idea completely and be like a Switch Lite where the controllers aren't detachable. But removing the functionality of connecting and disconnecting Joy-Con would basically be a step back. A Pro system should build on and improve from the original. The Switch Lite only removes features to be the cheaper option. A Pro system that is the more expensive option should still have the main gimmicks that the original has. The Switch Pro would most likely be very similar to the original, but the screen extends all the way through the bezel to create a larger screen, where you could actually notice the difference between the 720p original and the 1080p Pro. Anything else I feel like is too much change to exist in the Switch family, so at that point they should just wait to add more improvements and mechanics in the next generation console. Thank you guys all for watching today's video. As always, if you want to stay up to date on the latest Nintendo news, click the head in the cold ramen and I'll see you guys in the next one.